Okay, we know that, again, I'm trying to remember where I was at. So again, we're talking about seeds, SEED. We're talking about, planting a seed, right? And we're talking about seeds, let's see. I want to make sure we get this right, and I'll try to do it as quick. To yield and give way, okay? So again, 1630, that's, to yield and give way. So again, like we're talking about those trees, it's being symbolic for bodies. In antiquity of writings. And again, there's books about that. I mean, there's videos about that on this channel somewhere. But again, it says to yield, to give place, to give up some right or property. See? Proceed, leave, to go, away, avoid, yield, go. Okay? So again, this is even talking about, reminding me of colonization even, Yield, okay, let's see. Original sense in English is now archaic, transitive sense of yield or formally surrender something to another. See? And this is what I'm saying about like transferring of your energy or transferring of your livelihood or your status or anything at this point in time should be really evaluated and considered before, doing so, is all I'm saying. Because you might end up in the hands of someone else, again, and you may regret that at some point in time. So again, it says a sense of evolution. Okay, so this is the real evolution that we're talking about. We're talking about, man leaving his mother and father land, okay, coming across the sea, kind of like how we're talking about in Genesis, that God, the breath of God or whatever, moved over the face of the waters. Okay, we're talking about ships. The mast, even the mast has to do with that part of the man. It's okay. Again. Okay, so again, we're talking about symbolic things, allegorical parables, and things like this, and definitions, just the real definition. Okay, because again, in schools, we were not taught how to properly read the dictionary or anything about etymology. So again, this is the lack of knowledge that I think that we have suffered from, because we just think we know and we have no idea. We're not really digging deep when it comes to the word. So it's not even what I'm saying. It's not what your concordance, which is a book that was made for religious dogmatic purposes to match what they want you to think in religious institutions, not the truth. So of course, in there is some things that go deep, but then there's other things that may not, right? 1 second.
Get dirt on them sandals, don't walk it in here.
Okay, so again, surrendering to another, okay? And that's what I'm saying about like even when it comes to, joining certain groups and stuff, it's not always about, men doing this. You have to be careful when it comes to feminine. It's not only one so-called race of people, it's the mindset of the people that would be doing something in this day and age where people would need to be watching out for women and children, is all I'm saying, okay? It's the mindset, it's money, which is the root of what, okay? And again, that doesn't mean that people can't have this. It just means that it can drive people to do certain things that they wouldn't normally do. Okay, so if you value that over life, then that's a problem. If you value that over love or anything else, that is a problem. And so we'll see that very well. It was many things that we did. Now, there might have been a warning in the text, or God or a messenger giving a warning. But again, it was, us choosing a certain way. And usually it has something to do with some kind of gain, whether we're talking about land, money, or resources, or women, which again could generally in etymology mean men, women, children, just people, or chattel, or a certain form or group of people in a certain class or status. All right. So, so again, what were we going to talk about? So to give over, surrender, or relinquish to physical control to another, relinquish possession or control over. And again, in this day and age, we ain't going to be having that. That's why we point these things out, and we really digging deep here to see what we're talking about. So again, we're talking about selling of. Now we know about trafficking these days, right? Okay. All right. And then we're talking about milk. It's talking about the mammary glands, which is something that a woman that has a womb would be the only ones that would be able to do these particular things, right? Okay. And it says here also pi root of melg, which means to wipe, to rub off, to stroke, to, and again, so even in this thing, what we're talking about right here is making me think that this God or this Lord is a feminine energy that they're supposed to be looking into. They are observing and paying a lot of attention to it, but they're also trying to stain it.
Close the door. Don't open the door.
To stain or vilify, or again, to try to make it seem like we are dealing with things that are natural. A lot of women are just going back into nature and the natural state of things. But again, this construct would rather it be the other way around. They want to take you more towards things that are faux. Okay? And again, so it just so happens that, we are kind of like the blinded, again, we're rising, right? We're waking and rising, but at the same time, we are the kind of jaded, I don't know why that word has been on my mind lately, jaded portion of the group, unless you're pulled out of that and given a different eyes to see, because you're brought into a different status. And again, hopefully this new thing that's being done is going to consider that and consider doing it things the righteous way instead of the worldly way, and trying to pluck away that which is righteous and natural and place things that are idols there. And so idol worship even has to do with, again, placing different feminine energies in a position of those who are standing upright. And so they will do whatever they can to slander or whatever these energies in this time, so that and make them look some kind of way that you should fear, because of someone else's gain. Or even we're talking about rub out, it's making me think about like the male aspect counterpart, which is, or consort, which is supposed to be a dual natured thing, regardless of we're talking about some kind of companionship, relationship, marriage, or something. It doesn't work right until it comes together with the divine masculine and feminine aspect. And so, and it has to be, it is something that's done, like these people are not supposed to be choosing. This is something that is ordained by God, by source. But again, people are going to be rebellious. They want to continue with wicked ways. They want to think that what we're saying about certain things like financial institutions, that is, the only way. And I'm like I said, I'm not saying like we should just be not being able to gain, but I'm saying if you let that be the thing that overruns and you forget about doing the things that are right or righteous, then everything is out the door, period. Just what it is. Okay? So if you want to just use her like that and abuse her, then you're going to see what you're going to get in the end. And it ain't going to be nothing good. So it says milk plant, milk chocolate. Eating chocolate made with milk solids, paler and sweeter. Okay. Cry over spilled milk. Representing anything which is misused cannot be recovered. And again, this is the thing. This is the thing right here. So that's what they want to do. They want to give you the impression of some of these women being stained, or like it just said, what we just read, but really they're misusing. They're using their powers and their ways in order to stain the woman. A lot of these things are just lies. When you think about law means lie. Regardless of how you want to look at it. So maybe that's why these commandments were called commandments and not laws. But I know then it says the laws of God. So again, are these laws the laws of the God of this world? Okay. Or is it or does source have laws? I doubt it. Statutes and commandments, maybe, but laws, I think that's added. Okay. So again, all we're doing, we're not trying to put anything between each other. We're saying that, this could be a situation, and if this is the case, then it's time to go ahead and balance things out, because we're talking about judgment here. Okay? Okay. So again, this is not for any reason but to level the playing field, because obviously there was going to be a problem right now that needed to be addressed that had something to do with some kind of balancing act, that something was uneven, right? So again, in this situation, a lot of us that are chosen or are in certain positions, they know who we are. They've been watching us, some from birth. And so in this time, they have the upper hand. They have the finances. They have the power. They have the platforms. They have the control. And again, social credit system. Look it up. It's a low-key version of it, if you ask me, in my eyes. And again, it's just like, okay, so this is the thing. Well, we shouldn't be ignorant as to what it is. Just be honest. Tell us what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so again, this also has a strain on people being able to move freely, right? So again, they're judging. So the world wants to judge us on if we're going to talk nice, if we're going to talk to them like babes, if we're not going to keep it real, if we're not going to tell the truth, if source ain't sitting right up inside of some of these vessels, I feel like mine, that is speaking, and they want to act, they're listening, but they act like they don't want to hear. So when you do something, they try to rebuttal it and go and exploit it somewhere and talk about these things, you know what I'm saying, amongst themselves to try to judge like they are the ones. No, that is not the case. Most of the people that are going to be serving in the new heaven and new earth are going to be in the lower statuses because things are about to be reversed. And it already has been. We just have people still pretending as if they still have a certain amount of power, or they deceived us and distracted us against things that we should know, okay, so that they can have a head start, or they can go ahead and try to, again, rebuild without you, by using you, but not, you know what I'm saying, by sucking your energy, but again, and paying attention to what you're doing, but then not giving back. And then that's just out of fear, right? Because they don't want you to know who you are. And that's not everybody. I'm just saying there's certain aspects, hidden hands behind this, that this is how I feel that it's operating. Because of the sly, slick things that's been going on that I'm seeing in the headlines, and then these certain bills and things like that. Okay? So again, excuse me, we can keep on going. But again, and then they say, oh, why are you crying over spilled milk? No, ain't nothing spilled. See, you might have the perception that things is the way you think it is, but it'll never change because things have been ordained. And the truth is going to come out, and people will have to pay. Period. Let's see. Milk and honey is from the Old Testament phrase, describe the riches of the promised land. Okay, so again, the milk and promised land. What is the promised land? What is the earth? What is the world? The world, I think, is the things that are surrounding that woman in the middle of that world card. She is the thing. And it's kind of like, I heard somebody say something earlier about like in a glass jar, that people use things and they kind of, I don't know, sorcery or something, put people in a jar or something. And maybe it can physically hinder you, in certain ways. So again, is that the new way of trying to keep you bound to something, right? To try to keep you, because they see your light, but they want to keep you in a certain status or a certain, mindset or in a certain way, so that they can still have some control, and then make you think you got to come to them for something when really we got the power to do whatever we want to do right now. We got the freedom and the power to do whatever we want. But it's kind of hard if you have people that are trying to bind you and do certain things on you. And again, we're not dealing with that kind of stuff, but they are. And some of this stuff has been in families and stuff for a very long time. And some people use it for good, and some people use it for other things. Okay, so again, that promised land is talking about land, yes, but it's also talking about any place that was prior to colonization, I feel. But it's really generally acting with the women and children, because usually they took the men off to war or slaughtered them, and then they kept the women and children for certain resources. Some of these women were seers. Some of these women had gifts, and as long as people could benefit from them, they would put them up, make them look real pretty, put them in front of people, glorify them. Although the natural aspect, the one that's speaking, the more natural, like what we were talking about in this verse in this chapter, in the last chapter, the ones that saying, hey, back to basics. Let's come out. Let's pull back a little bit. Let's do these things, to be self-sufficient. Let's do these things. those are the ones that they are going to choose to try to put at the bottom. But really, by blood, by nature, and by certain ordinances, they are supposed to be the ones in those positions. And that's just it. It's just the bottom line. And there's a feeling of like, I feel like some people think, oh, we've accomplished it, but you're totally 100% wrong if that's the case. So again, the richness of, and it's also reminded me of God's or Source's choicest pearl. Okay. So again, this will be an all-seeing, in a sense, all-knowing conductor of energy, or a body or a group of those individuals, that he will be resting on the thrones of those particular individuals and watching. Again, my Father in so-called heaven is watching. And in heaven is just in the mind. So we don't look at the worldly heaven and look at it in the same way that the sheep do. We know what it is, and we know who we are. And we know what they did to our ancestors, and they're trying to do to us. And so those are the ones they want silent. Okay? So again, idol worship is just that. Taking other entities and energies, and in this case, I'm saying women in this time, because we are the paramounts, we are the hills, we are the Jerusalem, Zions, and things like that. Okay? The powerhouses. You understand? To press or draw milk from the breast and udders. Okay? To rub off. To try and get more laughs, applause. Okay? So anyways. Take milk from feminine mammals. Exploit as much as possible. So again, this could be, like I look at this too. I feel like there's a sense of, yeah, exploiting, period. I know what's going on. But I think that there's some that want to exploit in a good way, and then there's some that want to exploit in a bad way. There's going to be jealousy, envy, and strife. Some of these witches. Okay? Okay, and we could use the word bitches. Some of these bitches is witches. Okay? They could use it in all the music that they give to us, can't they? Okay? So this is just people, this is what I'm saying. Listen to what you want to listen to. But I'm saying, don't try to censor me for using something that the general media and other platforms share. So it's almost just like, ooh, a rule is broken, but this only because people want to try to see you fall. They don't want you to be over them. They don't want the truth to come out. They don't want you to be equal to them. They don't want your light to shine. Okay? It ain't nothing to be mad at this point for me. Source said, keep moving. I got you. And that's the only person I'm trying to please on this plane. Or in the heavenly realm. And as long as we do the work, things gonna shift. As long as we aware, things gonna shift. As long as we speak these things, it will shift. Exploit as much as possible. So again, in a good way or a bad way, this could be done. So I'm not saying, even when it comes to the construct, it may be something that they're doing in a good way too. Like I can't just be like that. Okay? Yeah, so produced by the mammary glands of female mammals for feeding their young. Again, their children. So right now, we are birthing nations, period. It's the birth of a nation all over again. But the children are wanting to overrun. The children are wanting to be the ones. And that's not the case this time. Give it up. It ain't going down that way. And us speaking on this note in this caliber is going to have these particular people very upset. So check on your people. I know many people, again, don't deal with people or sometimes don't like the messenger. You ain't got to. You heard what I said. Okay. A river that rises, milk noun, in WordNet is a river that rises in the Rockies, northwestern Montana, and flows eastward and becomes a tributary of the Missouri River. Okay. So again, bowels. Okay. So again, we'll stop there. I was just thinking milkmaid. Okay, so again, let me figure out where we were at. So again, fed on milk. All right. And, just for the heck of it, let's look at what honey talking about. A yellow golden. Oh, okay. So again, I'm thinking we talking about skin tone here. Okay. Yeah. Like a certain tone. Even when it comes to soil. Okay. I was at a park the other day. It was the first time that I saw like some soil that was the same color as my skin. And there were like geodes and stuff like that in it. But I just thought it was cool. It was really soft though. Okay, so denoting yellow, golden, or brownish colors. Golden, yellowish, okay? The substratum word. Okay, the more Indo-European word represents in Germanic. The melite, or honey. A term of endearment. Good of its kind. American English, honey, the locust, North American tree. Again, we're talking about the life giver, the tree of life. Maybe even the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And again, I've been thinking about that tree lately. I think the tree was preserved for God. And people thought it was okay to try to tempt or touch the tree or seduce the tree. And if we're talking about a tree, the tree is planted. The tree is just sitting there doing its thing. The tree is just there to help you, to nourish you, to clean out the air and things like this. But people will want to come and cut it down, take stuff from it, fruit from it, off the vine. Sometimes even before it's ready, to transplant it or to splice it and to replant it. I'm even thinking surrogate. Like, I don't think y'all really realize what we're dealing with in these days. Some of us can sense these things. Some of these can, I don't know if you guys, again, everything I say just be getting me. This is real though. But you're supposed to be like cool with it. You're supposed to be ignorant to it. A beloved person, used as a term of endearment, okay? And let's just keep on moving, okay? For you are still only baby Christians, controlled by your own desires, not God's, okay? When you are jealous of one another, okay? And again, so there's some of us that are looking for a form of salvation or redemption or a truth or justice, these particular words. But then, the construct will try to turn it and twist it and make it seem like you're just this bad person and all this other stuff, right? They'll try to turn everything against you, so when they're ready to take you down, everybody will be on board with it, right? Okay, so again, this is also like we're talking about a masculine and feminine. We're talking about tradition, religion, and dogma, and what it really is. The truth, nature, source. The mother of all. The life giver. So again, she's fighting for her life and they're fighting for a position. You dig what I'm saying? And most of the time it's hers. Or one that's supposed to be shared. But the worldly realm will try to make you think you're not worthy. When, again, that's why I think some of us been built. I've been built to know that, honey. You can try to do whatever you want to. It ain't going to happen with me. I know this. I sense it. I try to be as meek as possible. I try to just be, as cool as possible about it. But anyway you go, people going to be mad about what you got to say when it's the truth. And they see something in you regardless. That's for me and anybody else that know who they are. And you don't need nothing else, no damn documents or nothing to tell you, because source is already up in your ear. Or inside of you, period. He already got a seat on the throne. Anyways, when you are jealous of one another and divide up into quarreling groups, okay, tribes, groups, bands, races, religions, social groups, Democrat, Republican, prick and no prick, woke and not woke, so-called. Those who use common sense and discernment and those who don't. Mask, no mask. And again, some of us is not even wearing, there's the physical mask, and then there's people masking themselves. Some of us are not wearing masks. Some of us are living a certain type of life, and we are divine beings, and nobody has the right to expose or exploit anything that's going on in somebody's personal life. What I come and share with you online is what I share with you. Nobody said that in order to be somebody that do YouTube videos or anything else that you have to tell every damn thing in your life, what's in your bank account, what's in your refrigerator. Nobody never said that. But no, these people took it into their way to try to crucify somebody. And this is what we have here today. Right? They ain't gonna work. Says source, ancestors, guides. You may think there's a victory, but if it's going in the wrong direction, it's going to be ended. And I'm seeing fire. And it's not by me. You see? It's not by me. Fire and desire? Just saying. Just saying. Okay. And most of these is, men, again, we in a certain kind of way here. We're a lot, after this collapse and after a lot of things, of loss of a lot of things, it made certain, it even made masculine energy or divine masculine feel, I think, a little bit even worse. And then to think that, it might have been something that came from, the source that's serving right now, especially amongst some of these women, these paramounts, these mountains, is going to come a point where, again, like it's talking about over here in the carnal, but you dealing with the physical. You're not dealing with the fact that source is sitting on these thrones. Yes. You see what's outside. You're not looking at that because, again, these people can't see. Some of them don't understand. Some of them do, because he picked some of them in very high places for this particular time to do his work and his will as well. So again, that's why I don't look at it. I don't look at the whole group like that anymore, like I used to, and think, oh, everybody up there is bad and everybody down here is not to blame. No, everybody down here to blame, everybody up there to blame. But source said he gonna use from nature and whatever you want to call it, is gonna use from all. So we can't continue to just look at everybody up there and say that it's bad. Yes, they may do some things, but we supposed to be the ones with the message. We supposed to be the ones teaching some of these beings. Some beings have souls and some don't. You'll be able to see by their works and the way that they treat others and the way they value life over finances and other things. Fake things over what is real. Materialistic women over women that are content. But they fear the women that are content and standing strong in themselves more than the ones that want them for everything that they have. It's disgusting, actually. But it's not their fault. I believe some of these women are using certain things, crafty things against them. I believe that. I believe people better be paying attention. People using DNA kits for a lot of things these days. So again, when you are jealous of one another, divide up into quarreling groups, doesn't that prove you are still babies, wanting your own way? Wow. Wanting your own way. In fact, you are acting like people who don't belong to the Lord at all. It's like, where you learn this from? You ain't learned this from your mama, boy. Young man, king, divine, masculine, God. Thing is, this Lord or Lordess is going to have love for them unconditional. But again, I'm not competing with I didn't even know this a competition. I'm not battling for nothing that's already mine. And no, some things you have to work for in this life, and some things are supposed to just be given because it is what it is in this written. That's what we dealing with. Okay. In fact, you are acting like people who don't belong to the Lord at all, or Lordess. They are quarreling about whether I am greater than Apollos. Now, who is I? The Lordess. So again, period. I mean, this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about a divine masculine fighting with his divine feminine. He wants to worship idols or women that are not ordained, or whatever else, right? Right? Things that are made by man's hands, not nature. Do you get what I'm saying? And then these things that are made with man's hands, whether they've been set up in a lofty position, decorated and decked out with gold and silver, and even when it comes to the bodily form of people these days, I have nothing against anyone that is doing anything to alter their appearance. That's your business. But what you're not going to do is sit here and act like what is natural is nasty, because it's not. How the hell you get here? Or is that questionable? I'm sorry. Did nobody that's naturally born or birthed out of the womb of a woman come here, and your mama didn't have to go through some kind of transformation through her body and changes made to her body in order to bring you into this world? But yet you want to say, and that's the thing, I just don't understand that. I don't understand. That's so backwards, and that's why shit about to be turned right back around. It's so backward. No, not this time. No. And then you gonna have the nerve to let them speak some kind of way about what's natural? What the hell happened? Doesn't that prove you are still babies, wanting your own way? In fact, you are acting like people who don't belong to the Lord at all. There are quarreling about whether I am greater than Apollos, and dividing the church. Okay? Doesn't this show how little you have grown in the Lord? So again, you want to keep your eye on the Lord, Lordess. You want to keep your eye on her. You want to keep your eye on me. But you still want to do what you want to do. And then you want to turn an evil eye on me, or let these other witches turn an evil eye on me and other women like me, which is the only last hope for, men too, but we overturn it. We talking. And these days a woman ain't got to be at the feet of no damn man. It ain't never been that way, really. We just forgot. But here in America is all I can speak on, because that's what I know. It ain't happening. source say, nature say, the ancestors and guides say, it ain't happening. You would say the watchers and the fallen angels might be saying the same thing, but who knows? Who am I and who is Apollos, that we should be the cause of quarreling, of a quarrel? Why we're just God's servants, period. So is that again, something is going to be under the guise of something else. Something's going to give you the perception of something else. So are you serving with God? As a matter of fact, I was just listening to Lauryn Hill. I Get Out. If you ain't never heard it, listen. You understand? Okay? So are you serving? Is you sure is God you serving? Which one? Who made up these schools, I say? Who made up these rules, I say? Matter of fact, I'm about to do a breakdown on it. Each of us with certain special abilities. Again, no one's better than the other. No one's better than the other. I would say except for the choicest. And that's the throne that God is going to be sitting on. And my Father in heaven is watching you. That's how I know the things I know that you do. The sisters out here doing their thing when it comes to using their intuition and different gifts and things like that, add to it. Most of the time it's something I already know. I'm not looking to anybody to tell me something. Most of the time I already know from within. It's confirmation, and it brings joy to see that other women and other people, even men, okay, are out there that can see. That's all it is. It's confirmation. Same thing when I think something and look it up in the text and I can find it. It's confirmation. Cross-referencing. A witness. That's all. That's all. And if somebody's serving somebody something, you're going to have to be having some tools and equipment to be able to do so. Each of us with certain special abilities, and with our help, you believed. Okay? Again, this all makes me think about like angels and chakras as well. And energy, frequency. My work was to plant the seed in your hearts. Okay? And Apollos, you know, it's kind of like giving me like a Yeshua or Yeshaya way of looking at it. A Messiah or a messenger or whatnot. My work was to plant the seed in your hearts. And so that's what I mean when I say there ain't no other savior than you. All I mean is that a lot of us were lost sheep. A lot of us were going with the herd. A lot of us were manipulated and educated, which means to lead out anything that is natural and put something else, or to train. Okay? That's what education means. So if you thinking your children in the education system, you better do etymology on that word. Okay? So again, this was to plant the seeds in the heart. So again, you have to know better to do better. So the thing was to plant this kind of thing into someone's heart, so then they can also carry out and do greater work. So this is a Christ moment. It's almost correlating exactly to what it was saying that Christ was doing. Even though we're talking about I and Apollos, the Lord or Lordess. And I don't know why they didn't just put the name of the I. But they have I am. Why wouldn't they just use the Lord's name? Because Lord is just a general term for somebody with a certain position. So whenever you read that, you have to make reference to that. You can't just think we just talking about Jesus because it says that, because that's not what it's saying. So you have three different counterparts. We have different counterparts here. Two, at least two, or three, or four, because you're talking source on the throne. Your corona. And I think he's going to sit there until the divine masculines of the earth, or the earthly masters, do right. Nobody can enter the kingdom then. See? And that road is through you. It's through you, dude. That's just it. And then when you get to your higher self, then you're connected to a certain extent with source. And you can't just do that overnight. You can't just be talking about all these other worldly things and documents and stuff and not be serving. You know what I'm saying? And everybody doesn't have to be public about their serving, right? But you don't have to be like deceitful about it, and you don't have to be, just acting like you coming up with this stuff when again you really seeking source or someone of that nature, and just using their material, because that has an end to it. What I'm talking about don't have no end to it. What man made with hands has an end to it. It can adapt it. It can maybe become smarter, but yeah, what are we talking about here? Okay. So again, I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and we're just going to do a part 2 for the second part because I talked too much this time. We'll be right back.